Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast. If this is your first time here, know that the views and opinions expressed by the Black Men Think podcast are those of the Black Men Think podcast and not the individual members. With that being said, we're about to be unapologetically, undeniably black. Enjoy.
So yeah, man, been a lot going on
Crazy world, bro.
as usual.
Yeah.
I think we might as well get used to it, right? There's a lot going on, but we felt right now would be a good opportunity to introduce a new segment on the podcast, and we call it "Ask a Black Man." Keep it simple. And so just to give you some history on that, a little background, what we do, we always ask y'all to send us questions, your thoughts, concerns, anything of that nature. And hey, you send those, and if we find something that we feel is unique, which this is a very unique one that we have today.
It's a big topic.
It is a very big topic. And so what we do is we will bring you on with this question and we'll discuss it and kind of take it from there. So our first Ask a Black Man comes from an anonymous person. We don't want to give their information out here just yet.
You can't put them out there like that.
We don't want to put them out there like that, but just know that you inspired this entire episode.
Absolutely.
So
shout out.
I'll read what the message said. It says, what's up, guys? I have a question and I need some personal advice. So here's the question. As a 27-year-old man, what are some things you can talk about on your podcast that would help myself and guys in our 20s? Example, maybe financial stability, relationships, marriage, etc. That was a great question. But
I love that. Yeah.
The second part is really what we want to get into. So I'll continue reading what happened.
Okay.
So now my personal advice, I wonder if you guys could help me out in the situation I'm currently dealing with. And if you could, I would like to get some feedback via email. No email. We're doing a whole podcast for you, bro. So
all for you.
Yeah, all for you. So he met this wonderful woman last June 2019. They say everything was going great. She's loving, caring, beautiful, and real. She's honestly the best woman I've ever met in my life. She's 25. However, I messed up pretty bad. Before I get into that, I'll give you a brief summary of the woman and he said, and I friendship. So we dated for a whole year. It was fun, exciting, and she pushed me to be better and taught a lot about myself. So back in September, my ex and I reconnected. And I had a closure moment. He said, and I had like a closure moment. That was the worst thing that I could have done at that time. It created a temporary feelings for her and had me confused about what I wanted. Now I know I shouldn't have been.
He working it out. He working it out. He trying to get there.
But I had the greatest woman I've ever had met right in front of me. So I told her I was unsure of her. That threw her completely off. And she really never looked at me the same again.
No, bruh, no.
So, however, she stuck around.
Wow, okay.
She would ask me why over the course of a year. And I would tell her because I was at a low point in my life, dead-end jobs, and I needed something new as far as that goes. But she knew I wasn't telling the whole truth. Our friendship grew over that summer, and throughout the year, she really became my best friend. I love this woman, and I'm in love with her. Fast forward to July, I finally told her the real reason why I was unsure of her, and it was because of my ex. I told her I still had feelings for her at the time, and she couldn't believe it. Crazy thing is, after telling her the truth, she told me she was willing to try again with the dating. But after me telling her the truth, she said no. She's available and she's dating now. That hurt me to my core. I felt so low in that moment because I never wanted to hurt her nor lie. So my problem is now she's completely friend zoned me. She told me there's no intimacy with us or attraction, and don't get your hopes up for, that we can date in the future. I'm fine with being her friend, even though I would love one more chance with her. I pray to God all the time to forgive me, and I know He has her in my life for a reason. I pray that if He does bring us close together again, that I'll be ready for her. That he basically said he'll be ready to be a real man. But if there's if there's a way to ever gain loyalty and trust back, should I move on and continue being her friend, or not hope that we can date again in the future? So it's a lot. It's a lot there. There's a lot there for us to process and break down. But I mean, Mo, you just heard that, so I guess you can start, kind of take the what's your talk, your take.
Well, first of all, man, thank you for whoever you are for, asking a black man. Man, that's quite a situation. And just to recap, briefly, obviously there was this amazing woman in your life, and yet there's that baggage of the past that comes always finds a way to come walking back in some capacity.
Absolutely.
Caused a major distraction, and you've been friend zoned it. And that's tough, especially, it sounds like it happened over a long period of time,
right,
like over a year, that type of thing. So clearly, there's a deep relationship, a deep friendship that's new with this special lady, this perfect catch, if you will. But then yet again, you're torn between, I guess, what tends to seem as two options. And that's kind of where I want to land. Because I feel like I've experienced something like this, not necessarily the same, but it seems like men, for some reason, JD, I don't know if you've been in this situation, but it seems like until we get to that point where we are truly like committed, locked in to somebody and it's mutual, we keep our options open, right?
100%.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of scenarios where that tends to be the case. And it's funny even thinking about, back to when, me and my wife really started kind of getting serious, or at least to the point where we felt like we want to, take this to the next level,
right.
No more, dating, casual dating type of thing. We didn't really spend a lot of time doing that per se, because we already knew each other. But it was just more or less one of those things where, I softly mentioned in some kind of capacity that, I still have some prospects here and there. And it was like, oh, pause. I got the flag thrown on the play on me, technical foul.
Right.
And it was made extremely clear in that moment that if this was going anywhere, that there was not going to be any opportunity for any other options. And
right.
And I was given that ultimatum that basically, I just say it saved my life,
Right, there you go.
The options had to disappear immediately, and that was it. That was the only option for your boy. And thankfully, I took that option, and here we are today. 8 years in, actually tomorrow. So shout out to my wife. Happy anniversary to you. Now to my man that threw that at us, man. I get it, and on one hand, I would say that, everything happens for a reason, right?
Right.
For instance, an experience like this can end up in so many different ways, whether it's preparing you, preparing her, preparing the girl in the past. Those are the variables that you honestly, they're out of your control, right? Like you can't really, you can't really see the future, period. So you don't know where this is going. You just know how you feel right now. And I know it's one of those things where it's kind of hard because you feel like you messed up something very, very special, a huge opportunity, and maybe you feel like you made a mistake. I don't know if I want to call that a mistake yet. I get where the story leads, and I don't know what your take is on it, JD, but it's just, I guess I've seen enough life and I've been through enough relationships and situations like this where sometimes it works out, sometimes you screw it up.
Yeah.
And you honestly don't know.
I can say personally, bro, like, and I've spoke about this kind of briefly, but before I met my wife, I was in a situation where there were three women who I wouldn't say I was like pursuing, but they were in my life in a different capacity, right? And so I'll say there was one young lady that you know, we had went to college together. We had a solid friendship that we, you know, we I say friendship because that's truly what it was, a friendship.
Yeah.
However, from the outside looking in, everyone would swore we were in a relationship, right? And so you have that. I had that situation. I had someone else who I had met on social media, and we had you know, we built some a solid, you know, friendship that blossomed into, you know, we were dating, right? And it wasn't anything, it wasn't anything serious. We were just, you know, we were dating. We were going out, spending time with each other, and things of that nature. And then there was another young lady who I went to school with as a child, like elementary school and middle school. And we just rekindled, you know, something, right? And that was a more of a long distance situation where it was just really a lot of phone conversations and not really a lot of spending time with one another. It was just definitely like on the phone. And you know, I had all of those three women in my life, and this was a point of time in my life where I was just like, look, bro, I'm in my mid-20s. You know, we were all like really trying to improve our life, honestly. And it was just at that point in time where it was just like, look, man, I'm ready. I need a change. Like, this cycle of that I'm in is just not healthy for me. And I just wanted to, you know, start pursuing trying to find a wife. Really is what it was. Like, I didn't put a time stamp on that. I just like, look, I want to start pursuing someone to be in a relationship with, to work toward being you know, a wife. And so I remember, very simple, all three of those women at the time were like, played a very pivotal role in where I was at in that stage of my life. And I remember just like really praying, like, bro, like, hey God, like, you know, I like all three of these women. Honestly. And I can see,
straight up, that's real.
Yeah, I can see something with all three of them, you know, for different reasons. Like, one, history, one, like, you know, old flame that, I mean, our old crush that, oh, now we're both grown, we can really explore something. And then one was just like someone I met who I just like really took a liking to, and we spent genuine good time together. So I was like, yeah, God, I don't know, bro. Like, you tell me, like, which one? And I tell you, bro, like, they all disappear, and ironically enough, they all disappear, and only one of them I personally, I don't want to say cut off, but I personally made the decision that, you know what, this is not gonna work. We've been doing this same cat and mouse back and forth. We best friends for years. It's like, bro, we're gonna keep doing this, but we're both like very similar individuals where we're not gonna commit to one another at all. We're gonna act like we just want to be friends, and it is what it is. Like, we're both doing this to each other. We're not helping each other out. So that, you know, I had one, I won't go into what happened with that, but I'll just say I was in a situation where I'm around a bunch of family members and they're treating me like I am the boyfriend, when clearly we've both established that we're just friends. And that's what it is. But I'm around everybody looking at me like I'm confused. like, oh, obviously there's not, the conversation wasn't transparent on both sides. I'll put it like, so I'll leave it at that. And so that was that one situation. The other situation was just like legit ghosted me. Like, like, supposed to meet at church. I show up to the church. I'm dolo. I'm
Yo,
dolo.
she just wanted you to meet the Lord that day, bro.
Like, I'm looking around like, show up? I'm looking around like, yo, she ain't coming. Like, texting, like, you coming to church? Like, no answer, no nothing.
Have you ever heard from her again?
Via email.
Okay, I was gonna say, maybe I hope she's still alive.
No. I heard from her like I think maybe like a week or so after that, and her email via email. Like this was like, and bro,
Yo,
it's so
email?
crazy. It's so crazy looking back on it. So via email, I remember this conversation going. Well, it wasn't a conversation. It was you know, she let me know exactly how she felt, and she said in a nutshell that God kept telling her that you're not the person that I need to be with, and she had to fight that because she wanted to be with me.
Well, dang.
And she was like, God was like, he's not the one for you. And she knew that if she would call me or saw me in person, that I would have talked her out of whatever her conviction, which was another thing too, which is like, that was I a manipulator back then and didn't know about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she was on some like, God said you're not the one for me. And as much as it hurts me to like believe that, I gotta trust in what he's saying. And this is the only way that I know that I can cut you off and that's gonna be it. So it was like, you know, I had to respect it. It hurt.
Sure.
I think that was like I cried that night. I remember
Yeah.
This was, you know how it is, bro. When you know how you get in that point in your life, we're like, no, I'm doing everything right. I ain't having sex no more. I'm reading my Bible. I'm doing everything by the book, and it's just like, it cut off type situation. So, but it just showed you the power of like, bro, you prayed this prayer. You told me to find out which one was for you.
You asked me for it, so
you asked me for it, right? And so all of that dwindled down, and like a month or two later is when I got the introduction to, you know, to go on a blind date with who now is my wife. So that's
the whole picture there. And ironically, you mentioned a situation like that because I've actually been on the opposite side of that. I've been the one that you know, kind of sent that message or made that phone call, and and it was an abrupt halt to, you know, something that looked very promising, you know, to say the least. I've done that a few times in my lifetime, and you know, had to come to another later point in my life where I probably had to send a few text messages out to apologize to some folks. Like, listen, I was at a lot, you know, less of a mature space in my life. I don't even know if you're getting this. I don't even know if it's your number, but I just want to apologize for the way I handle, you know, a certain situation. But it's interesting when you really bring up this picture of like what we ask God for, like in these relationships, man. And then and even another thing you said about like, I don't know, it's something about hearing God say no about somebody that's hard for us to swallow.
Bro,
I don't know what that is, bro. I mean, I guess it's just, you know, our
because I could have swore that was the one. Like,
man, but you know, but how many times have we been in those situations where and I'm sure a lot of our listeners probably are sitting here like, man, me too, you know, like you've been in these situations with somebody who you kind of trying to tag them along for the haul just in case, you know what I mean?
Yep.
We all done had our set of friends, quote unquote, sisters, quote unquote, whatever you want to call them, whatever kind of title you want to give them.
Right.
At the end of the day, either they stringing you along, you stringing them along, or y'all stringing each other along, just in case purposes, when they really ain't a match. But it's hard for us to let that go.
It's hard to let that go. Like you said earlier, bro, the whole options thing is one of those things where we thrive on it, and sometimes we thrive on it unintentionally. Like, it's just the fact that knowing that I have those options there. And it's not until you realize, like, when all those options are stripped away, when you find out what type of man you really are. Because when all of those options that I thought I had were gone, and I was like by myself in a room, like in tears in a room, just like, yo, like, I ain't know, you know, like, God, I ain't know it was gonna be like this. Like, you know, I thought you were just like, oh, you know, you should date her. And then like, all right, cool. Like, here we go, everything. Yeah. Like, no, like, I'm gonna wipe all of that away. And now you start from scratch. Let me find out what kind of man you really are. You know what I'm saying? And so going back on what the guy sent, I know he's in a place of uncertainty.
For sure.
Because for one, it's just like, it is what it is, bro. Like, we've been in those relationships with somebody who we may have thought we were supposed to be with. And the only thing that you hope is when you're in a new relationship that you just do not run into that person. Because you don't, especially in an immature state of mind, you don't know how you're going to react, right? You just don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I can say for me, I don't know if you have you ran into anybody that you used to date now that you're married?
It's interesting. Early in my marriage, I would say yes. It was a little more frequent. Ironically, most of those situations, I was with the wife. It was very rare. I think it was only one scenario where I ran into somebody who I don't even know if I can necessarily say we dated. I mean, we hung out, we long time friends,
right,
type of thing, But I don't know, man. I've been blessed. Let me just put it leave it like that. I ain't really seen nobody.
I feel you. I have seen somebody that I've dated, and to me, it's so weird, bro, because I tell my wife all the time, like, she's really the first relationship I had to take serious.
Okay.
I've dated
That's
other women, but like, as far as a serious boyfriend, girlfriend, this is what we doing title, like, because I mean, bro, you know me, like, I was everybody was the homie for a long time. Like,
sure.
that was my program that I was on. And so for me, there was really only 3 women who I really took serious, like, in my life in general, like, including my wife. So my wife and 2 other women. And so I ran into one of those other women, and it was weird because it was a time when my car was, I didn't have my car, so I was on the train. And so I ran into her. I was on one side. It's like from a movie, bro. Like, I was on one side of the track and she was on the other side. Like, so she was on northbound, I was on southbound on Martin, right? And the train leaves and we're both looking at each other.
That's, bro. The devil always gonna have a trap set for you. That's crazy.
So like
that's
I get off the, you know how sometimes with Martin, sometimes the north and the southbound train ends up in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
I get off, and I'll never forget, what was that, Arts intersection. I get off the train and I see, and she gets off the train and the train, leaves.
Yeah.
And we left there looking at each other. And I'm like, yo, what's good? Yo, how you doing? How you been? Like, it wasn't anything like, it wasn't anything beyond that. It was just really like, oh, dang, ain't seen you in a while. How you been? And of course, we talking over a track, so you ain't really having a detailed conversation. It's very general, surface level conversation or whatever. And it was just like, all right, well, hey, good seeing you. Go up the stairs, and I think actually, basically we both left. You know how they go, like, you went your way, I go my way, type thing. And that was it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't feel nothing. Like, it wasn't no like, there wasn't an attraction level there. There wasn't a, like, dang, I wonder what she up to. And then I looked at that situation. I could have easily been like, yo, what you doing right now?
Yeah.
Let's get some lunch, or let's catch up. And just having that wherewithal to be like, no, bro, like, ain't nothing good gonna come from, I don't care how much you think y'all are in a friendship, ain't nothing good gonna come from that if you go and try to have lunch and all of these things. And so I say that to say, with this guy, I know that he's in a tough situation because he rekindled something and tried to go with some closure somewhere just to see what happened. And in the process, he may have lost what he thinks is the one.
No, for sure.
But as she clearly stated, bro, like, sometimes we gotta really listen. Like she said, no, this ain't. And I know we try to justify and rationalize in our brain, like, oh, that's a soft no. Let me talk to her. Maybe I gotta earn her trust. Yeah. And I get that. I understand that. You can put logic behind that, but ultimately, bro, you have to really come to grips with what happened. You made a mistake.
No, facts.
You made a mistake.
I have to see or try to see it from her perspective too, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that'll be wise, you know, on his part or anybody else out there that's going through a similar situation, right? So from her perspective, I think to some degree, to a large degree, trust was broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because while he may have had that experience initially, I think there was a window of opportunity to come clean, or at least to maybe share with her what happened, maybe have an opportunity to, I mean, honestly, put that relationship to the test, because with truth, you kind of have, you know, you kind of really see the real, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
you get a chance, she gets a chance to see him, he gets a chance to see how she responds to that type of situation. But I think the reality is that with that time passing by,
Mm.
and then her looking up and finding this truth out, it's like, man, it kind of probably felt like to her, like, man, you kind of been living a lie, you know, a little
That's
bit the
true.
whole time. And what it sounds like, even her current, you know, relationship with him, while it is still a friendship, you know,
Right. Right.
it seems to me that the trust factor kind of got destroyed a little bit, you know, where she might have seen something in him that she realized, I mean, honestly, she's probably hurt, you know, she probably
Yeah.
got hurt by the situation.
Exactly.
And you know, when people get hurt, man, it's the reality is I might forgive you, but I don't forget, you
Don't
know,
forget.
I don't
Yeah.
forget. And that's a hard pill to swallow for homeboy. But I will say this from his standpoint, and this is a challenge. And I don't know how everybody feels about this type of thing, but it's kind of the real, right? At least it's from my perspective. So I feel like he honestly has to ask himself, how much does the girl that is now a friend that has him in the friend zone, how much does she really mean to him?
Mm.
Because the question really is, do you want her best? Like, you know, is her best interest at the forefront of your what's now a friendship, or are you still seeing her as, I wish we, you know, I wish we could, I wish there was a future, I see you still as, you know, the one for me type of thing, which is honestly very self-focused, because it's really about like what I want to get out of this relationship. But if she is saying that there is no relationship, then if you really care for her, you know, at some point you got to wrestle with the fact that I need to be okay with what's for her.
Mm.
And that may be that crossroads space, and it might put him back in that empty room, you know,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. That, I mean, that's a very good point. Actually, that's a very good point. You know, the accountability. It's an accountability factor, right? I think
Okay.
a lot of times it's hard for us to be accountable for our actions, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we get into this mode of where we try to justify our wrongdoings,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, sometimes what will happen is we have to deal with those consequences, those real life consequences. And so, using his example, very to be specific, like you said, man, like, hey, you messed up, and you might have to just honor her thoughts on it, right?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
you know, it's that cliche saying, but you know, if it's meant to be, it'll be. You know what I mean? And so if you go in that role and try, but it's so hard to just go in there and try to be a friend, though, bro, because you
I
have
know,
those
bro.
feelings. Like that's something that I wish like a young JD would have understood a little bit better, knowing that friend that friend zone. Like once you in that friend zone, bro, like you got to realize that if you whoever, no matter what, right? If you are in a friend zone situation, if you still have feelings that are beyond a friendship type feelings,
Yeah.
the best thing that you can do, bro, is walk away. Cause you're only gonna
Mm.
you're only gonna end up hurting yourself. Like that's the way I feel about it. Maybe because I've been in those situations, I might be a little bit jaded on that, but
Mm-hmm.
I truly feel that it's very hard to be a friend when you have feelings.
No, that's real. I
Like
mean,
when you have those type of
those
feelings.
feelings.
Those type of feelings.
I might see it slightly different. I mean, and I get where you're coming from on that. I've had those type of situations and had those friends where, you know, clearly a close friend, but also there are clearly feelings, maybe even
Mm-hmm.
mutual.
Right.
And it can complicate things. I'll put it like
Yeah.
that. Well, honestly, in a lot of my scenarios, it has. Um, I ain't even gonna get into it. I don't even know if we got time to share, but one just flashed across my mind. It's almost foolish. I guess I almost got to share it now. I mean, even to the point where I have a friend, she has a boyfriend, but I'm being treated more like the boyfriend than the boyfriend. You know, it can create a very awkward situation.
Right.
But you know, I mean, I guess there's still an opportunity. I would just say at the end of the day, when you finally get in that space with somebody that you want to take seriously and you need to see where it's going, we just got to be willing to cut the rest of them off, you know, and sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean we need to wait for it to be forced. In my case, it was kind of forced, right? And it worked out. It don't always work out like that, as we see in this scenario, you know, and she might still be in the picture and everything, but you know, for homeboy and the young lady, you know, end of the day, man, what will be will be. I think it's a great growth opportunity for the both of them. I think honestly there needs to be some honest dialogue, you know. It may be an opportunity to really share, you know, for the guy and to really see where he stands on a true level, and that might guide the friendship in the direction it needs to go, whether apart or closer. But you know, really, just have a conversation.
Have a conversation. I'm with that. I think that's actually a good stopping point, bro. Just have the conversation. And so, like to very directly answer the last question, he said, "Is there ever a way again to gain her loyalty and her trust back?" Number one, I think there is a way that you can gain her loyalty and her trust back. I think what you have to do is just be very genuine, and be very honest and very truthful. And like Mo said, have that very intent conversation and put all the chips on the table. Let her know, like, look, this is what I did. This is how I know how you feel in the situation, and just put those cards on the table. But you also have to be ready for the comeback. Like, you know, however she feels after you put those chips on the table, hey man, like, it is what it is. Like, if she says, like, you know what, this is not gonna work for me, all we can be is friends, like, then you're left with a decision to make. Either be her friend and only be her friend, or walk away and pray for her happiness.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? That's it right there, bro.
And that's really all you can do. And I think what will happen, regardless of the situation or the path that you take with that, I think it's just a learning opportunity all across the board. Like, there's going to be growth from it. You're going to learn from it, and you know, however it works out, it's going to work out. I will say this: let us know how it works out. Message us and let us know, man. Like I said, we can only give you advice from how we lived our lives, like our real life examples. That's all we can do, bro. So, you know, hopefully that helped out. If it did, you know, hey, thank you for the transparency and sharing. If you guys have other questions that you want to shoot us the questions.
Please.
DM is probably the best way.
Ask
Facebook,
a black man.
Instagram, hashtag Ask the Black Man. That's it.
Ask a black man.
Hashtag Ask the Black Man. We'll get those questions, man, and if we like them, we'll put them on the air and do like how we did tonight. And that's it, man. Like, hey, it's just me and Mo tonight. You know, we wanted to switch things up and do this, but hey, at the end of the day, we had a Black Man Thing conversation. So that's all I got, Mo. You got any final words?
No, that's it, man. We appreciate you all asking, and we look forward to the next question.
Cool, man. Well, hey, make sure y'all subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Tell a friend and tell a friend. We need y'all, man. We're growing, and we are growing. We're like growing very well, and we have some exciting things in store for y'all that we can't really announce yet. So just stay tuned. But hey, Black Man Thing Podcast. We'll see y'all next week.
The Black Men Think Podcast.